Pachani Nirvasesha Sunnivari Paskacha Desatarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadada Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this is going on by the mercy of Archita Prabhu. And I guess I'll just say next. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, fantastico. Well, that speaks for itself. So next, this is a Govardhana Hill is known as Haridas of Aryadas. He's the best of the servants of Krishna, of Hari. Next. This is a panoramic view. This is as the Devas, because the Vaishnavas we don't walk on Govardhana Hill. We wouldn't want to put our feet. Prabhupada said that Prabhu, we use this word Prabhu. Prabhupada says, Prabhu, come shine my shoes. That's not what it means. So whether Govardhana is a devotee, we offer our respects, or as his manifestation as the Supreme Lord. Either way, no feet on the head. Yes? That is, yes, definitely. Modern technology. It's a drone shot, yeah. But it gives you an idea. It's a view we never see. Okay, next. Now, Radharani asked Krishna to create a special place. You know, Krishna is Madan Mohan and Radharani is Madan Mohan Mohini. So she asks, and Krishna is enthusiastic to deliver. So she asked for a special place for their pastimes. And Krishna manifests Govardhana Hill from his heart. That comes from Rupa Goswami. So Govardhana Hill is actually a manifestation of Krishna's love for Srimati Radharani when she asked for a special pastime place. Next. As Prabhupada says, that Govardhana Hill is Krishna's gift to Srimati Radharani. Next. Radharani was not happy. You know, Krishna's descending. Yuge Yuge, he comes to this world, Paritanaya Sadhanam, Vinasaya Chaduskritam. Krishna comes periodically on his own sweet will. So he said, Radharani, please come. She said, I'm not going if there's not Vrindavan and there's not Govardhana Hill. So Govardhana Hill appeared as the son of the king of the Himalayas. You know this pastime, but there's going to be something interesting. So of course the pastime is that Pulasta Muni, he had a very nice ashram, nice river, fruit trees, everything was auspicious. Only thing missing, it was flat. And a little variety, a little topography. So he wanted a nice hill to make his ashram just perfect. So he went to the king of the Himalayas and he asked, can I take your son Govardhana? So Govardhana didn't really want to go, but because it was the sage had asked, just like Dasarath and, when Vishwamitra asked for his sons, what can he do? He has to do it. So but he made a condition. Anyone know the condition? If you put me down, wherever you put me down, I stay. So Pulasta Muni said, no problem. He's carrying Govardhana Hill. We can understand it's Leela. He's flying with Govardhana Hill, such a powerful yogi, yet he became overwhelmed by the call of nature. He stopped to pass water. He put the hill down for a minute, did his business, and Govardhana wouldn't leave. Because it just happened, just as he was flying over Vrindavan. It's all Krishna's arrangement. He's such a powerful yogi, like Maharaj Parikshit, being overwhelmed by hunger and overwhelmed by thirst, and then, that pastime is there with a cursed by the Brahmin. So same kind of thing. So he put Govardhana Hill wouldn't move. So he cursed Govardhana Hill to shrink the size of one mustard seed a day. Now some of you may remember Sariputta Prabhu, one of the founding members of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, smartest man I ever met, double PhD, so many things. Just a wonderful person. He was living in San Diego for a few years. One day I happened to go into the kitchen of the San Diego temple, and he had this line of brown mustard seeds, and he was measuring it. Sariputta, one of his PhDs is in statistics, so he figured, okay, one mustard seed. He figured how many mustard seeds, I think it was about 10 or 12, it takes to make an inch. So he calculated, and then he calculated, okay, we know how long, roughly 5,000 years ago, so you can calculate how many inches, how much mustard seed. He figured the whole thing out. And his calculation was that Govardhana Hill must have been about 15 miles tall. So that's Sariputa's analysis. So Govardhana Hill is shrinking, cursed by Pastime Muni to shrink 1 mustard seed a day. And you can see in this picture how it's sinking. But there's more to the story. Next. How could a rishi have the power to curse Govardhana Hill, the best of the devotees? We know we've got Ambarish Maharaj and Devarsa Muni. How can even the greatest of mystics, how can he curse a devotee? Rupa Goswami is the internal reason Govardhana Hill is shrinking, a mustard seed a day, is out of separation for Krishna. So next. Oh, that's interesting. Next. And so it starts.
Yeah, sometimes the connection is a little slow.
Oh, Govinda.
There you go. You want the next one now?
So now we're okay? Yeah, the world's full of surprises. I saw a bumper sticker the other day. It said, if you're not paranoid, you haven't been paying attention. It's just the nature of this place, So, all of us when we were young children, especially young boys, the parents are there, the elders are there, the teachers are there, you've all got to be circumspect, It's described that when Krishna leaves, you've seen those pictures of Mother Yasoda dressing Krishna, and the cowherd boys are leaning in, and they're suggesting, oh, put this necklace, oh, put a lotus flower here, oh, do this, so they're all dressing, and Krishna's tapping with the flute. No, I don't want those ankle bells, I want those. So they're all dressing Krishna. It's a joint effort. So they get Krishna dressed, and he's going off to the field with his cowherd boys. And again, this is by Jiva Goswami. He describes how Krishna will make it a little bit towards the edge of the village of Vrindavan. Mother Yasoda say, wait. And she'll come and she'll fix his turban a little bit and add another pearl. He'll get a little further. Wait. She'll come and she'll tie his bow and, wait. So, and finally says, Mata, enough. So finally, she all the gopis, Mother Yasoda, they let him go. And you know that feeling when you're a kid, that there's no parents around and just, wahoo, off you go, So here's the cowherd boys. They're leaving Vrindavan, off to Vrindavan to play on Govardhana Hill. Prabhupada said that Vrindavan is like a lotus, and it expands and contracts. When Krishna wants to take a long time to get to Govardhana Hill, Vrindavan will expand. When he wants to get back quickly, it will contract. So it's expanding and contracting like a lotus, opening and closing in the daytime and nighttime. It's a mystical place, obviously. Next. So Govardhana Hill serves Krishna and the cowherd boys. It's their playground. It's described that there's nice trees, there's lakes, there's branches over kunds, so they have diving boards. The stones are cold in the winter time. In the summer they're cooling, in the winter they're warming. There's all kinds of streams. Sometimes there are even warm beverages. If it's cold. Prabhupada said, I was in the old temple room when Prabhupada was reading Krishna book to us. It had just come. Prabhupada said it can be daytime and nighttime simultaneously in Vrindavan. Wrap your mind around that, my friends. So, next. This is, of course, Krishna snatching Madhu Mangal's lunch bag. They're playing keep away, tag, so many different things. Next. This is from the Bhagavatam. It says, Govardhana Hill supplies all kinds of necessities. Water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. Next. Here's a picture of one of the caves. Rupa Goswami had a cave that he used to stay in at the end of tip of Govardhana Hill. So the stones are cool in the summer and warm in the winter. So that's one of the many caves of Govardhana. Next. What's up? Oh, next, Farouk. If you didn't hear me.
I know. Froze up.
Oh, such is life. You know, happiness in this world, while we're waiting, a little purport. Let's see what we can get going here. Happiness in this world, when you really think about it, it's people are settling. So they're settling for things. Well, it could be worse, not so bad. And if you think about it, you know, language is an expression of the experience of the people. Always darkest before the dawn. Got to take the bitter with the sweet. Every cloud has a silver lining. So that's really happiness in this world. Well, it's not as bad. Could be worse. And the other way that they measure happiness, let me know when it goes. The other way they measure happiness is for one small moment. Like they have a day at the beach. They're off from work. Why do they say, thank God it's Friday? You see that saying, thanks God? Because they're working at a job that is boring, mind-numbing. I think there's a jinx. Is there a Bermuda Triangle that's local? Anyway, the other type of happiness is that for one moment there's a little bit of relief. I have a day at the beach. No one's giving me a hard time. I have a few days. Archita, do we give up? This is extremely frustrating. It sure breaks the mood. Do we have a screen and a projector? This just sucks. Anyone have a suggestion what we should do? Do we crank out the Bhagavatam and have a regular class? No, but it doesn't mean anything without the pictures. The pictures are the whole life of the thing. This just, do you have an old screen? Do you have a old-fashioned?
Yes,
Who said something?
Go ahead, Maharaj.
But do we have a projector?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, let's see what happens. No. I mean, it's not your fault. It's just...
No, that was your next slide. Krishna.
Alrighty, let's see what happens. Okay, so obviously you know the story. Prabhupada says we should know what we're doing next, because I got to make up some time here. I love this picture. It gives you a feeling of what it must have been like. The wrath of Indra. Prabhupada says that mountains and thunderbolts are natural enemies. They're always clashing. And usually the thunderbolt wins. It smashes the mountain. So Prabhupada says, but in this case, when there was the Govardhana hill as the mountain, Indra's thunderbolts, we know that the mountain won. So Prabhupada said that even just like the Pandavas on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, completely outnumbered, they were successful. By the grace of the devotees, by the grace of Krishna, devotees are victorious. Next. Okay. Lifting Govardhana hill with little finger. Oh, you expect me to believe this? It's just, and anyone know, not only was his left hand, little finger, completely weak, what is it? What is the argument that Prabhupada gives many, many times? Did you say that God, he's lifting a hill? How is it possible? Anyone want to counter that? What? He's Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He's floating. Unlimited planets are floating in the sky. So what is it to float one hill? How can God be? What is something that we see almost every day, especially in Southern California, that is both localized and all-pervasive, that has a form and is present everywhere? Because we're saying that Krishna is simultaneously, was it Brahmaniti, Paramaniti, Bhagavaniti, Shabhyate? That Krishna is inside every atom, he's inside everyone's heart, and at the same time he has his place Goloka. You expect me to believe that? What is something we see every day? Sun. You can point to it. It's localized, and yet it's all pervasive. And you're telling me that the creator of unlimited suns, which are localized and all pervasive and sustain all life, the sun, that the creator of that can't do what one of his, just a minor creation, can do. Show me the seamless logic of that. If the creation, the object that he created can do it, certainly he can do it. So that Krishna can float up, pick up a Govardhana hill, what's the big deal? Next. Now, you have to think about it. If it's pouring rain, and the water flows off the hill. They're under the hill. Wouldn't they be flooded? It's described that Seshanag, he coiled around like a moat all around them under the Govardhan hill, so the water didn't get in. And Krishna Sudas and Chakra dried all the water off. So it's nice and dry and warm under Govardhan hill, no anxiety. Krishna takes care of his devotees. Next. Oh, one back. Indra showed up. Thank you. Indra showed up just to make sure how things were going. Prabhupada said no bureaucracy. Indra came personally to see how the clouds and everything was going on. And when he saw that they were not victorious, the clouds were not defeating the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They're all under the hill. Everything's warm. Everything's nice. Everyone's having a picnic. Great time. So he lifted his hand to throw his thunderbolt. And that was his plan. He could not even move his hand. Because the Gopas afterwards said, we saw Indra, but he just came and went. So he came to nail the last nail in the coffin, saw that he was being completely defeated, went to throw a thunderbolt. He couldn't even lift his arm. But to speak of release the thunderbolt. And Prabhupada points out that Krishna's the ability in all things. Krishna says, the ability in man. So, okay, next. Can't do a thing without Krishna. So that after Krishna put the Govardhana, he said, I'm going to put the hill down. He told the inhabitants, okay, Indra's gone, been defeated, couldn't even throw his thunderbolt. He's leaving. So Krishna says, okay, you can all go out from under the hill. I'll put it down. And the coward boy said, no, you go, because we're actually holding it with our sticks. So just to give them a taste, they said, you go, we're holding it with our sticks. So Krishna just gave them a taste. And it knocked them all down flat. They were all knocked unconscious, knocked off their, when they felt just a pinch of the weight. This is the Yoga Maya of Vrindavan. They didn't all go into Govindamadi Purisham, deep prayers, and they actually chastised Krishna. Hey, you should have given us more warning. What do like that. So this is a little bit of the Braj flavor. Next. So Anayor, give me more, give me more. Krishna is worshipped as Govardhan Hill, Govardhan Hill is both worshipped as the greatest of devotees, and the Govardhan Hill is also worshipped as Krishna. So a devotee asked Indradumna Maharaj this: how can Govardhan Hill be both the greatest of devotees, be a bhakta, and also be Krishna, Bhakta Vatsal? How is it possible? Can anyone think of another, how to say it, without giving away the hint? I'll just say it. Who said that? Way to go, man. How was that Lord Chaitanya compared to this Govardhan Hill being both a devotee and not a? We know. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we worship him. Sometimes he's in the mood of a devotee. Sometimes he's in the mood of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wasn't it he was Lord Bore? He was Lord Nrsingadev chasing so many different things. So we're dealing in the spirit. Prabhupada said you cannot squeeze everything in your tiny brain. Over here, Prabhupada was reading Krishna book to us, where the temple room used to be over here. He would read it, instead of Gita class, he'd read Krishna book. I don't want to go off. There's so many stories some other time. But one time Prabhupada was leaving. There was a side door, and Prabhupada would come and then go upstairs. So Prabhupada turned to us. Everyone's just stunned. Prabhupada said, yes. If I told you everything, you would faint. So these things are going on. Something to look forward to. Next. Why shouldn't, if God is the Supreme Personality of God, the cause of all causes, shouldn't it completely blow our mind? The idea that, well, I don't understand. Who are you to understand? It should be mind-blowing. Okay, this is interesting enough. Some of you know, you've heard Chapan Bhog. So this is where the Chapan Bhog comes from. There's 56 offerings. Because Mother Yasoda was in anxiety. Krishna had missed so many meals. So she made up for it by cooking these 56 offerings. But I just wanted to show this picture. This is the Hungarian farm, Krishna Valley. That's Radha Shama Sundar. This is Govardhan Puja in Krishna Valley, Hungarian farm, Shivaram Maharaj's direction. That's Radha Shama Sundar. Everything you see here, except for the rice and a few of the spices, were grown on their farm. The abundance of Mother Nature. Next. So this is Govardhan Hill in Vrindavan. Nice, good size. It's a wonderful event. Next. Thanks, Archita. So one of the essential principles of the Govardhana Leela. You know, every good story, not that Indra's a villain, but you know, every good story needs a hero and an anti-hero. You need suspense. You need so many things. That makes a good story. So one thing we learn is Indra's pride and the danger of pride. So after being completely defeated, there's a place called Sarabikunj, I think I have a picture of it, where Indra actually offered his prayers for forgiveness. So they have that saying, pride goes before fall. We have to be very careful in our devotional life. Next. You know, mundane pride, when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his purports of the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the cleansing of the Gundicha temple, he describes all the different anarthas in the heart, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cleaning the temple and all the anarthas that were coming out. It's a great section. I try to read it at least once a year, because it describes all the anarthas and the effect they have on the heart. And one of them is pride. And you can just see, it's a huge burden. It leads to offenses. What do we have to be? Prabhupada says that we're proud over borrowed plumes. What are we actually proud? Everybody else with a brain, all of you, I accept, have taken birth to serve Lord Chaitanya's mission. I know for myself, everybody else has already gone back to Godhead. I'm the dregs, we're the bottom of the barrel, Kali Yuga. Everybody else with a brain got out. What do we have to be proud about? They go on vacation, you see, I saw the biggest, the world's biggest ball of string, or I went to, went to Las Vegas. What is it? It's nothing. Prabhupada said the demigods will not even come and pass urine on this planet. And we're proud of what? For a few minutes we're, not as stupid as the person next to us. So pride is a great burden. If we just accept that everything's going on by Krishna's grace, I'm his humble servant. Let me just try to, samsiddhi haritoshanam, that the measure of all perfection is his Krishna pleased. And it's a huge relief. Okay, next. This is Sarabi Kunj. When you're going around Govardhana Hill, if you're a prideful person like me, definitely stop at Sarabi Kunj and offer prayers. Let me just become a humble Vaishnava. Next. Oh, now we're back to the weird world. Okay, thanks. Anyway, this is how the great souls see Govardhana Hill. Prabhupada said, when the Krishna Balaram temple opened, and before that he was leading up to it, he said because it's Raman Reti, which means the nice, pleasing sands, Prabhupada says every afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Krishna and the cowherd boys come through Raman Reti. They come through Raman. We're seeing cars and buildings and honking and, whatever it is. But every afternoon, 3 o'clock, Krishna and the cowherd boys come through Raman Reti if you have the eyes to see. Next. Okay, next. All right. Now, I don't have my laser pointer, but you see a few parrots there? Even if you talk to Dinu Bandhu, I remember when I first went to Vrindavan, 1973, and if you went out to Govardhana Hill or you went to Radhakund, there were red parrots, there were yellow parrots, there were blue parrots, and there were green parrots. Now all you see is the green parrots, and they're very blissful, but they used to be. And Prabhupada, actually, Rupa Goswami describes that Radharani, you talk about drone surveillance, how they're spying on each other. Radharani has her own fleet of parrots. And they're always scoping out, where's Krishna, where are the cowherd boys, what are they up to? Krishna also has his own fleet of parrots, and they're checking out where are the gopis, because they're ambushing themselves. Anyway, we'll talk about it later on. But there's so many different pastimes, so you can imagine the scene, and they're all reporting back to Radharani, Krishna's here, he's planning on doing this, the cowherd boys are planning on ambushing you here and charging a tax, and then Radharani said, her parents will say, go this way. There's a whole transcendental leela of aerial surveillance via the parrots. This is life in Vrindavan. Next. So we're going to go quickly around the parikram path, just a few spots along the way. Next. When you're in Vrindavan, it is a place, Prabhupada said, for intense prayer. It's a place for whatever's burdening us in our heart, whatever we want to make advancement. Well, I'll tell that story later on if we have time. Let's go. Next. And of course, you're not alone. Here's some of the inhabitants, little thieves. Next. Here's also on the left, these are some of the cows of Govardhana Hill. There's one of those rare blue deer. Sometimes you'll see them on the hill. Next. And there's so many places. We're only going to touch a few of these. So many different places. Govardhana Hill is just packed with Leela. Next. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govardhana Hill, he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani embracing Krishna. So we know that picture. He's embracing one of the Shilas. He had a Shila that he used to, a small Govardhan Shila that was soaked in his tears. He would hold it to his head and cry tears. Later on, he gave it to Raghunath Das Goswami. Those are Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet, lotus feet. And just like we have Prabhupada's feet, these are Mahaprabhu's feet. Okay, next. So this is Kusum Sarovara. Kusum Sarovara means it's for flowers. And it's where Radharani, under the guy, full of ploys to meet Krishna, but she had the surveillance of Jatila, her mother-in-law, so many different things. They would go to Govardhana Hill to pick flowers for worshipping Surya, the sun god. But it was a rendezvous spot, Kusum Sarovara. Next. It is also where Narada Muni took a dip, because to enter into the Ras Leela, Krishna is the only Purusha, everyone else is Prakriti. So Narada Muni needed to take the form of a gopi, so he took a dip into Kusum Sarovar and came out as a gopi, and that way he was able to observe the Ras Leela. Next. This is right near Kusum Sarovar, right in the corner. There's a place where Krishna, after Radharani and Krishna are sporting in the water, Krishna is combing Radharani's hair. But what's especially sweet is Radharani's holding a mirror. And while Krishna's brushing her hair, she's just meditating on Krishna's beautiful face. And what is Krishna doing? He's looking at the mirror at Radharani's face. So they're both meditating on each other's beautiful lotus faces. Next. This is Manasi Ganga. This is where, there's a typo here. It's actually Vatsura. So the Asura in the form of a calf. So after Krishna killed, that calf mixed in with the cows, Krishna swung him around, killed him. So the Gopa said, well, you killed a cow. We can't bathe with you. Krishna said, what do? He said, you got to bathe in the Ganga. So out of his own mind, the Ganga manifests. That's Manasi Ganga. We'll hear more about this in a minute. Next. Oh, let's back up and go forward, see if that does the job. Krishna's mercy. So also, the residents of Vrindavan had heard about the glories of Mother Ganga. Garga Muni was describing different places of pilgrimage. Prabhupada said that when he was a boy, sometimes he would spend vacations at his relative's house outside Calcutta. Gives you a flavor of what cultured life is. What did they do in the evening? Everyone would gather at the temple. Some Pandit would describe Ramayana or Mahabharata, some wonderful past. And Prabhupada said you would walk home after you go to the temple, you'd have darshan, you hear this wonderful Ram Katha, Krishna Katha, take some prasadam, you'd go home, and you'd have all that in your head when you went to sleep. Now what are they, they're watching whatever it is on cable, some ghastly thing. No wonder they don't rest at night, they don't rest during the day. No wonder they're half crazed. So the residents of Vrindavan said, well, let's go to Ganges. Krishna never wants to leave Vrindavan. He said, you don't need to leave. Ganga's right here, Manasi Ganga. They didn't believe him. This Krishna is pretty tricky, actually. So Mother Ganga came right out of Manasi Ganga in her form, riding on a crocodile, so that it was confirmed that, yes, this is actually, Manasi Ganga is the Ganga. Next. There's a place, there's a bhajan kutir of Sanatana Goswami at Manasi Ganga. And it used to be Shiva's place. Lord Shiva used to meditate there, and probably still does. But that's where he gave it to Sanatana Goswami with great honor, that Sanatana Goswami was going to use his place for meditation. But it was full of mosquitoes. So Sanatana Goswami was going to leave. Couldn't tell you what to do. And Shiva appeared before him. Shiva and Parvati begged him to stay. And to this, no worry, we'll take care of the mosquitoes. To this day, if you go there, even in summertime, there's no mosquitoes. But what's even more blissful, the Goswamis used to exchange literature. Like Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he was the editor of the Hari Bhakti Vilas of Sanatana Goswami. He edited the Satsandarbhas. Jiva Goswami, they would edit each other's books. They would meet at Damodar, at Radha Damodar temple. That's a whole other story. But they would exchange, literature, and they were editing each other's books. So Rupa Goswami had written that Radharani's braid is like a beautiful black snake, just like our beautiful Rukmini, she's got a nice black braid. So Sanatana Goswami had written that Radharani's braid down her back is like a beautiful black snake. Sanatana Goswami said, she's delicate, she's, and you've got a black snake on her back. I think this is Ras Bas. I don't think you should use this analogy. So Rupa Goswami dutifully took it out. Sometime later, I don't know the time length, sometime later, Rupa Goswami's there, Sanatana Goswami's meditating at Manasi Ganga. And across the Kund, he sees this group of beautiful gopis. Actually, never seen them before in the village. And there was one absolutely stunning gopi in the middle. And they all came down and took a dip in Manasi Ganga, and when they got out, he saw there was a black snake crawling up the back of this center, the center of those gopis, whoever was obviously the leader. There's a black snake going up her back. So, he yells, "Snake, snake, snake," from the other side of the Kund. That lead gopi looked at him, laughed, and disappeared. Poof, gone. He ran back to Rupa Goswami, says, "Put it back in, she likes it." She likes that analogy. You put it back in, So these are the activities of the Goswamis in Vrindavan. Next. Also at Manasi Ganga, Krishna disguises himself. The gopis are always transiting here and there. They're going to Mathura, going wherever they're going to sell their milk products and sweets and things, So they arrived at Manasi Ganga. It's quite large, actually. And the only boatman they could find was this lazy, tattered clothing boatman. He was the only one there. Because he was the only one there, Lalita had to wake him up, knocked his boat with a stick, They had to beg him, please go across the... But finally they convinced him. He got out into the middle of Manasi Ganga and stopped, said, "I'm too tired. I need some strength. I can't keep rowing." And then he started sampling all their milk sweets. He was eating his way through all their goods they were going to sell. And he got some energy back. He starts rowing again. Then it starts to rain, and his boat starts to leak. So the boat's sinking. He says, "Well, we've got to do something for ballast." They start throwing off. He says, "You got to throw out all your milk sweets, because the boat's going to sink." So they start throwing their milk sweets. Then he says, "Well, you got to throw all your jewelry. It weighs so much." They're throwing off their jewelry. Finally, he says, "You got to throw off your clothing." They said, No, we want to solve the ballast problem. This is from Rupa Goswami. "We'll throw you off the boat. That'll solve the problem, So then he starts rocking the boat. And sweet Srimati Radharani, fearful the boat's going to sink, she embraced him to make herself stationary. She grabs onto the boatman so she won't fall over. When she grabs him, what does she find? Tucked in his belt. She finds Krishna's flute. So his guise was revealed, And then, so next. So that I already said. Next. Back up and go forward. That seems to solve the problem. Well, try it one more time. Very good. So here they're throwing off all their milk sweets. Next is their jewelry. They're taking off their earrings. Next is their clothing. They say, "We'll throw you out." Next. So after it becomes revealed, they have wonderful boat pastimes, sporting around. Next. A devotee on a morning walk here in Los Angeles, he asked Prabhupada, it was Nayana Baram, who's the same one who asked Prabhupada, "Instead of a flower, can we offer a sparkler? A 4th of July sparkler at the RT?" Prabhupada said, no, it should smell nicely. Not like gunpowder. So he asked Prabhupada, "You here on the walk, oh Prabhupada, is there fog like this in the spiritual world? Oh Prabhupada, is there snow in the spiritual? Oh Prabhupada, is there this?" About 5 or 6 times. "Is there this?" Prabhupada said, why so many questions? Just go there and find out. So let's go there and find out. Next. Oh, so this is also right by Sanatana Goswami's Bhajan Kutir where these pastimes took place. And they're still going on. They're eternally going on for those who have the eyes to see. The gopis were calling out in ecstasy of separation, Hari, Hari. And that Krishna appeared as the Haridev, that deity Haridev. Next. This is a picture. Let's back up and go over. Oh, this will do. This is a picture of the Haridev temple. It was built by Rajwan Bhagwan Singh. The kings in Jaipur. One day I'll give a class just about the kings of Jaipur and what great devotees they were. And you've got, so this is, I mean, this just, once I start, I won't be able to stop. So this is the Haridev temple built by one of the great kings, the father of Man Singh. You know, Man Singh was one of the 9 jewels of Akbar. He was his military commander. He became a disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami. And he was the one with his army. You know, you have an army, if you don't keep them busy, they're going to get into trouble, conspiracy, they're going to get lazy, they're not going to be able to fight, or they're going to fight amongst themselves, or they'll try a revolt. So you got to keep an army busy. So what he did was that hit the Akbar's army. Under Man Singh, they were the prime laborers for building the Govindadev temple, the big Govindadev temple. There's a whole, I'll give a class sometime on Govindadev. It's a whole blissful story. So this is his father built this Haridev. Next. This is our ISKCON temple. It was the palace of the Maharaja Bhartpur. So many great, the powerful kings, they had places. They were devotees, many of them. And they'd have their places in Vrindavan. They'd go there for a spiritual retreat. So I saw this. This was just rubble. Literally, there was no roof. The walls were only about this high. All the plaster was gone. And Giriraj Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj managed to purchase it. It's right on the Parikram path. That's where we have our Govardhana retreats. So we owe a great debt to Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj, who completely renovated this thing. Keshava Bharati was the Maharaj, was the actual on-site construction manager. It's a beautiful temple. Next. And when they were doing the construction, they found rare Krishna and Balaram Shilas. So there's the Krishna and Balaram Shilas found at that site on the Parikram path to Govardhana, around Govardhana. Next. There's a, as I was describing, Krishna would block the gopis. Sometimes the gopis would block the cowherd boys. One of the things Krishna would do is he would stop them and charge them a tax. For what they were on their way to Mathura or wherever they're going to sell their milk sweets, he would charge a tax. The tax usually was that he would eat, and the cowherd boys would eat half their sweets, cut into their profit, And just to give you the repartee between he said, I'm the prince. Krishna blocks the path, sets up a scale. This is a scale, pan balance, for measuring. Okay, here's what it weighs. Here's what you got to pay me. Just like they do. The gopis would say, well,
Give him this one. Bring the other one over here.
Good saha, much appreciated. So you can see right here. So they would joke back and forth. The gopis, he would say, I have the authority of Nanda Maharaj. They would say, our Nanda Baba is very wise. He would never put a thief in, It's described, Rupa Goswami says, that Krishna is famous as a thief. We know that. Makanchor, he steals butter. He steals the gopis' clothing. What else does he steal? Rupa Goswami says he steals everyone's heart. Krishna is a famous thief. Next. Oh, that we already described. Next. So this is the original Gopal Raj temple. This is all the Gujaratis, so many Gujaratis, they have a picture of Srinathji. Prabhupada said that's actually our deity. That deity was originally installed by Krishna's great grandson, Brajnabha, right after Krishna's disappearance. Then for so many years it was worshipped on top of Govardhan Hill. Later on, when Aurangzeb attacked Vrindavan, that just like Govinda Dev, Damodar, so many of the deities left. Also, Gopal Rai, that Madhavendra Puri's deity, was also taken. He's in Natwar. Now he's in Natwar. Yeah. But that Prabhupada said, that's our deity. We could bring lawsuit. Actually, Prabhupada said no. That Prabhupada liked the way they're worshiping. So just a few sidelights about Srinathji. Next. Are we frozen? Oh, thank you. So this is Madhavendra Puri, who rediscovered Srinathji, Sri Gopal, and reinstalled him a little before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. We all know from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Next. This is where Madhavendra Puri actually discovered Gopal deity. Next. This is Natwar. This is Srinathji's temple in Natwar. They have a whole well, a deep well full of ghee. I was visiting there once. A train arrived, so many compartments. One of those compartments was completely full of tins of ghee. The only note was, from Srinathji to Srinathji. Some Gujarati businessman had prayed, please make me successful, made a huge amount of money, and he bought for Srinathji a whole compartment full of ghee. They have a whole well full of ghee. They have, we know the story that Mother Yasoda was worried about Krishna becoming a thief, becoming a juvenile delinquent because he was stealing in so many things. So she wanted to make the best sweets. Best sweets, you need the best milk. Best milk, you need the best grass. And what turns that grass? Krishna's mystic power. Feed your wife straw and see if she can make milk. But Krishna designs a cow. They take what's completely insignificant, and Prabhupada says, turn it into the miracle food for old men and babies, milk. So if you ever go to Natwar, please go. They have one wall, and they can trace the current cows. Like you go to those old Rajasthani palaces, and they can show their lineage all the way back to Bhardraj Maharaj or whatever it is, They have their lineage. Now we don't even know who our father or mother was half the time, So, but in this particular case, they can actually trace the current cows in Natwar all the way back to Mother Yasoda's cows. So that's how well, and it's designed like a palace. It's designed like Nanda Maharaj's palace. It doesn't have a shikar, but it's a haveli. It's a palace. Okay, next. So Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis, they also had darshan of Sri, because no Vaishnavas do not walk on Govardhan Hill. So there, you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopal, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking, I want to see the Gopal deity, but how will I ever see him? So Gopal, the deity, arranged that there was a rumor, the Turkish soldiers are coming, they're going to attack your village. So they took him to Mathura. So for 1 month, imagine the event. You can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the Goswamis, Bhugarba Goswami, Lochandas Goswami, they all went to Mathura and stayed for a month and engaged in all the festivals for Srinathji. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also got to see him. So next. This is where Uddhava delivered Krishna's message to the gopis, the ecstasy of separation. Next. It speaks for itself. Next, because I'm thinking of the time factor. This is Radhakund and Shamakund. The closest to us is Radhakund. On the other side is Shamakund. Next. Let's try that back up and go forward. Yeah. Of course, it's the same thing. When Krishna killed Aristasura, the gopis said, well, we won't play with you. You got to be purified. Well, what to do? So being aware of Krishna's trick with Manasi Ganga, they thought they'd up the ante. They said, you've got to bathe in all 7 sacred rivers. And you have to bathe in them simultaneously. And we don't believe you, we have to see it. So it's described that Krishna, just with the stamp of his foot, all of a sudden Shamakund manifest. Have I got that right? Yeah, Shamakund manifest. And all the 7 holy rivers poured into them and Krishna bathed. So now Krishna said, they've got a beautiful kund. Let's play in our kund. Shamakund. Gopi said, no, no, no. Now your kund is full of, just like if you wash, the dirt comes off in the bathtub. All the sins are in the water. We're not going to play. We're not going to sport in that. We're going to make our own kund. So it's described with their bangles and this and that. And obviously Yoga Maya, the Radhakund manifest. So that's the origin of Radhakund and Shamakund. But I have a little more I want to share with you. So next. All right, let's try one more time. Okay, that I already described. So next. When Mahaprabhu left this world, so this is a little history I'll just say it. He was so heartbroken. He's our Rasika Guru, Raghunath Das Goswami. Could not function. Could not just, you read sometimes when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would leave somewhere, separate from Sanatana Goswami or Rupa, they would pass out in separation. We have a little flavor. If you have someone you haven't, just do a thought exercise for a moment. Think of someone that you're very close to and you haven't seen in a long time. And all of a sudden that person walks in the door. They say your heart skips a beat. So take that emotion, multiply it to the nth degree, and you can understand a little flavor of the ecstasy of union and separation. So out of separation, he went to Govardhana Hill. He was going to jump off and kill himself. End his life. Could not go forth. He was counseled by Rupa and Sanatana. Sanatana also was thinking the same thing when he was covered with sores. So they counseled him, no, you have service to do. So they told him, you take shelter of Radhakund and Shamakund. All they were at that time was they were little ponds in rice fields, 2 rice paddies, discovered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The original kunds, the original structure, the beautiful, all that was gone. All there was just 2 small ponds in 2 rice paddies, discovered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, next. I think, anyway, we'll read it. Well, there's actually a time factor. So this is praising the glories of Radhakund. Next, because I'm thinking of the time. Also, you can read in Upadesha Amrita. You bathe once within these holy waters, one's pure love for Krishna is fully aroused. Next. Here we go. So you can see it was only 2 ponds and 2 rice paddies. And here we have Raghunath Das Goswami. It's described that tigers used to come and drink there also. And he was so oblivious to the externals, he didn't even notice. And he was sitting out in the blazing sun. So what happened? Next. It's described by Rupa Goswami that Srimati Radharani would come personally and hold her sari over him to give him shade from the sun. And Krishna would have, you've got a cow, a stick for herding cows. Krishna would come, you see Krishna in the background there, chasing away the cows, protecting Raghunath Das. Sanatana Goswami, you see him to the left there. Sanatana Goswami sees this scene. Did he say, you're seeing Radha and Krishna, you've reached the apex of spiritual perfection? Anyone know what Sanatana Goswami did? Chastise him like anything. You're saying, like, Hare Krishna, but we're praying to Krishna to please serve us. But Krishna, Hare Krishna means let me serve you. So they said, you're chanting the holy name, but you're taking service. Build yourself a bhajan kutir. So he built himself a little bhajan kutir so that Sanatana Goswami said, Radha and Krishna don't have to bother you. So next. So he was sitting there in his little kund, these little ponds. In his vision, he could see the whole thing. He was seeing pastimes, that all these things are going on. But he was thinking, no one will come to this remote place. If only there was a nice parikram path and we could renovate it, so many people would come and get the benefit. We were seeing in Upadeshamrita all the benefit. They would get that great benefit. So he was thinking, if only, and then he thought, I'm doing it again. I'm asking Radha and Krishna to offer me some service so I can renovate the kund. I'm a fool. Simultaneously, what's the next slide? This is up in Badrinath. There was a wealthy merchant, was in Badrinath, in the Himalayas, and he was going there to offer the deity a very large donation. Next. This is the town of Badrinath. It's in the shade of Nilakanta mountain, Lord Shiva's place, mystical Himalayas. Next. This is a picture. This is the Badrinarayan Rishi. You know the stat. You can read in Bhagavatam. Actually, so when he went, this rich merchant, up in the Himalayas, simultaneous to Raghunath Das Goswami's prayer, which he then chastised himself for, I shouldn't take service from Radha and Krishna. The deity spoke to this merchant and said, I don't want that money. What you do is you take it all down and you go give it to Raghunath Das Goswami so he can renovate Radhakund. Okay, next. So he walked. This is a little Google Maps. It's about 400 miles from Badrinath. Everybody walked. There was no, whatever. So he walked. He appears before Raghunath Das Goswami, says, the deity, Bhadravatsal at Badrinath, has told me to give this to you. Now, he'd been chastised by Sanatana Goswami, he wouldn't take it. Said, I won't take it. So the merchant turned around, walked all the way back to Badrinath. Told the deity, you got it. The deity said, I'm not taking it. I don't want to see you again until Raghunath Das Goswami takes that money. So he turned around and walked all the way back for a second time, and at that, and said, please take it. Raghunath Das Goswami could understand that Krishna wants me to take it, so he took it. And actually, Jiva Goswami, if you go to the Vrindavan Institutes, you can see the deeds. Actually, Jiva Goswami kept the wills and the deeds for all the Goswamis and all of their land. Practical, So there it is. Next. So here's that's the Badrinarayan and Vyasadeva offering prayers. That's the deity of Bhadravatsal at Badrinath. Next. This is just a set. This is in the 1930s. What Radhakund used to look like. When Govindadev, when they fled Aurangzeb, when they smuggled him out, the beautiful Govindadev deity, when they Aurangzeb left guards in Vrindavan. Aurangzeb, Prabhupada said, Kamsa come again, the Mughal emperor. Well, I'll say it, and maybe we'll just end a little. Aurangzeb, the Mughal emperor, was visiting Mathura. He was educated. He knew astronomy, so many different things. On the roof of his palace, or wherever he was staying there in Mathura, he saw a low star, bright star on the horizon. He said, what star is it? I've never seen it before. They said, no, that's not a star. That is the Govindadev temple. On top of the 7 stories Govindadev temple, like they used to do with old lighthouses, they actually had mirrors and huge ghee wicks. And they shed out like a light from the top of the Govindadev temple. Aurangzeb was furious. And they told him, and your grandfather helped build that temple. Aurangzeb was so furious that his grandfather, who should have been a devout Muslim in his mind, had helped build a Hindu temple. The next day he sent his soldiers to attack the temple, to dismantle it. And you know the story there. There was one soldier in Aurangzeb's army who raced ahead that night and warned them, they're coming tomorrow. And that's how they didn't have time to get the deities out. They hid them. This is just a sample of Govindadev's Leela. Aurangzeb had a particular vendetta against Govinda, because Govindadev was the temple that his grandfather, the what do you call it, heretic, helping these Hindus. He's the one who built that town. He had particularly vendetta. So they hid him. They hid Govindadev in a kund, because they didn't have time to do anything else. Aurangzeb, having missed, he said, well, they didn't have time to get out of Vrindavan. He's got to be hiding here somewhere in Vrindavan. He kept soldiers in Vrindavan waiting. When they try to move, we'll catch him. We'll catch the deity. The other deities, some of the other deities, he broke into pieces and they used as steps. Put the stone on top for walking into mosques. So you can imagine what he would have done with Govindadev if he'd gotten him. Shivaram Maharaj, one of the head mahants of the Govindadev temple at the time, in those days they had lanterns. At night they had a clay with slits in it, and you put cow dung and you put ghee lamps inside there, and it would act as a lantern, right? then that's how you would see your way around. I mean, they did it in the Middle Ages. They did it, it's not a uncommon thing. That was a common thing for seeing at night, to see your path. Shivaram, because how do they get the deity out? So they kept him secret. I don't know how long, but it was for some months. Govindadev was there in the Kund, because they were watching. There were soldiers patrolling day and night. And he was asking for reports. Have you found him? Have you found him? Aurangzeb's asking. So they took those lanterns at night. They plugged their noses with beeswax, wrapped it again with cloth. Maybe it's cold weather. I don't know. So they got away with it. And in those lanterns, they filled them with opium. And they walked past the guards near the Govindadev temple where they were hit. And the guards all passed out. They put them all to sleep. They put them into an opium stupor. And in the few hours that they were knocked out, they brought Govindadev out and brought him to Radhakund. First they hid him in Radhakund. Because it was all, even this, it wasn't built. There was just a few things. It was all forests and trees. The road was very rough on the way out there. So that's some of the glories of Radhakund. That's where they hid Govindadev. So next, you'll notice that Radhakund is square and Shamakund is a regular shape. The reason is the night before they were going to start the construction, that rich merchant who donated the money for the Kund, he was also a businessman. He stayed on and oversaw the construction. So they were getting ready to start the construction the next day. The 5 Pandavas appeared and said, no, we've taken birth. Don't cut us down. We've taken birth around Shamakund so we can watch the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So that's why it's shaped like that. Tamal Krishnamaj told me that you've seen those pictures of Prabhupada in Vrindavan when they're going out, Prabhupada took the devotees, I think it was 72, he took the devotees around. Tamal Krishnamaj told me personally that they were there at Radhakund, Prabhupada's showing them around and things like that. There was a big tree, it's hot, and Tamal Krishnamaj leaned against this tree. Prabhupada said, don't lean on that tree. Prabhupada said, he is a Maharashtra Brahmin who's taken birth there to shade the pilgrims. So, everyone offered their respects, So, okay, next. We don't know what's going on at these places. So here you see the shape of Radhakund and Shamakund. One's square, one's irregular because the Pandavas have taken birth there. And appeared to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, said, please don't cut us down. Next. I mean, we're just skimming along. We hear the radios, we see the trash, we see the hogs. There's a whole other thing happening here. So Radhakund is liquid prema as described in the Upadeshamrita. Next. Again, Radhakund Shama. We're looking at Radhakund Shamakund is on the other side. And you'll see that median in between. That's the Sangam where the two kunds actually meet. We all know what happened there. Next. Oh, well, we'll get there in a minute. So it's a little blurred up, but this is Raghunath Das Samadhi. You can go there, take darshan, prayer. Next. This is where Chaitanya Charitamrita was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj. Raghunath Das Goswami was put under the charge of Sarup Damodar, and he was the personal assistant to Sarup Damodar. So he was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many different, all those different pastimes we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita. A lot of those, Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj made notes of his pastimes in short sutras. Raghunath Das wrote out whole pastimes. He wrote, and those are all in his notebooks. And it's those notebooks, and Krishnadas Kaviraj is a disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami gave those notebooks and his personal narrations, and that's one of the main sources that became the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here's where the Chaitanya Charitamrita was composed at Radhakund. Next. That I read. Okay, next. And we know Krishnadas Kaviraj, I have now become too old and disturbed by invalidity. While writing, my hands tremble. I cannot remember anything, nor can I see or hear properly. Still I write, and this is a great wonder. Prabhupada said he could only write an hour a day. That's all he could muster the strength to. And as soon as he finished Chaitanya Charitamrita, he left this world. Okay, next. I'll try to speed it up a bit. Speaks for itself. This is where Lord Chaitanya's Bhajan Kutir was. Next. Let's back up and go forward, see what happens. This is where Jahnavi, Lord Nityananda's consort, this is where she used to bathe. It's a nice enclosure. So she's got her privacy. Next. This is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajan Kutir. And those are the shoes and the cane of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. They all took time and meditated in Radhakund. Next. Now, here's the thing. So we should give up everything, and we should go to Radhakund and get Siddha Pranali and learn that we're a peacock and stand in our kopans. Meow, meow. Is that the purport of this class? The purport is, what did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta tell Srila Prabhupada at that Sangam, at the meeting place of the two kunds, the highest ecstasy of separation? What was the instruction? Did he whisper into Prabhupada's ear his Siddha Pranali, his Siddha Sarup? No. He said, you take the mercy of Vrindavan, you take the mercy of Srimati Radharani, and you take it to the suffering conditioned souls in the West. And that is how you will enter Vrindavan. You won't by sealing yourself off and thinking you're a peacock or a gopi or a flute or whatever that is, but by delivering the mercy of Srimati Radharani and the mood of Vrindavan. That is how you will enter Vrindavan. It's a very mystical event, giving that instruction. Next. Okay, next. We're going to fast forward here. Okay, we're almost at the end. So everyone's looking for blessings. Everyone's always looking for a secret. What is the... Okay, next. Rupa Goswami says two things we can learn. The pure mood of unmotivated devotional service. One of the first books I got, just a completely spaced out college student, 17 years old, I got Prabhupada's Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And I remember writing in the introduction, Prabhupada says, most people are praying to God for bread. When it's our Father art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our trespasses, all that. It's their Mahavakyam. But they're praying for bread. Prabhupada said, okay, they're going to the right source. At least they're recognizing that Nitya Nityanam, Chaitanya is Chaitanam, everyone's depending on Krishna. Okay, fine. That's a good thing. But Prabhupada said it's not really love of God, it's love of bread. And then Prabhupada points out, but what was Mother Yasoda thinking? She's thinking, if I don't feed my baby Krishna, he's going to get sick. He's going to get weak. So we're not thinking about ourselves, we're thinking how to feed Krishna. Whereas the others are thinking, oh God, please feed me. So that's one thing, the mood of pure, unmotivated devotion as shown by the Brajbasis. Next. Two things we can learn from this pastime. The other thing we learn from this Govardhan Leela and the Govardhan pastimes is service to the Lord and service to the devotees as exemplified by Govardhan Hill. We want to approach Krishna. Kanistas think that they can approach Krishna directly. Krishna is not cheap. What does Krishna say? One who thinks he's my devotee is not my devotee, but who a devotee of my devotee, that person is my devotee. So this is the secret. What is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Das das anu das. So you offer service to the Vaishnavas. That is the secret. You want a secret? Serve the Vaishnavas. Next. We're almost done. So here it is. So may Lord Giridhari give us all of his shelter. Next. And that's it. Thank you very much. A little meditation on Govardhan Hill. Hare Krishna. Prophet said this movement is not meant for small things. We're meant to change the world and enter into Krishna's pastime. Pretty bright future, right?